Yo, what's up, my gamers in Christ? How are we doing today? Hopefully well. Today is the date of January 3rd. One moment, let me adjust the volumes. Oopsie, oopsie. It is January 3rd, 2026. How are we doing today, ladies and gentlemen? We have quite the show for you today, as we always do. We're going to be watching PBS NewsHour, and then we will be finishing up Conduit's video. Yeah, it's very exciting stuff happening. Very exciting stuff. Anyways, let me share my link real quick, and we'll get started here. Go to the old cord. How's everybody doing, though? Hopefully well. Hopefully we're doing well today. I'm a little tired. Needed to wake up a little earlier today so I could set up my recording setup for the shorts. We've got new shorts coming, so get excited for that. Get absolutely freaking hyped, dude. Alright, let everybody know we're live real quick. Hell yeah, looks like Kalinda's got a new video out. That's exciting. That is super exciting. We straight livin' out here. Live out here, gang. Yeah, there we go. I think that's a good, one right there. And we'll send it in, all the regulars. No, we won't. We won't send it there. If I see if I'm the most recent, you know, I'm not gonna do that. No, sir, not here. Soon I should have a face cam too. I'm gonna set up my phone to do face cam and video. All that fun stuff. I've got a program through OBS I can use. So I'm pretty excited. Oh shoot, one moment. You know what I didn't do today? I didn't put the Yu-Gi-Oh card of the day. It's Dark Magician Girl, ladies and gentlemen. Get excited. We love Dark Magician Girl. We do. Gains 500. Or no, 300 attack for every Dark Magician in your graveyard. Isn't that kind of, that's kind of crazy. Kind of a little wacky, huh? A little bit wacky. Anyways, for the first 10 minutes, we'll probably just be chilling here, waiting for people to file in. We're just gonna do a basic Trump is hurting America. How about that? I think people will enjoy that one. Trump is hurting America. Now again, I will say, ladies and gentlemen, I have a Discord. If you disagree with me, you stinkers, you need to go into my Discord and debate me. Stop being so afraid. I swear, it's very embarrassing to see all these MAGA act all tough in the comments, but they never come on. They never come on the Discord. They'll always chirp in the comment section, though. It's so frustrating. Here, I'm gonna send my Discord in the stream. Please, I am begging you, come and debate me if you think you're good. You know what I mean? A totally funny dude is me, just in a different life. Yeah. A totally funny dude is if I decided not to go the YouTube route, funnily enough. That's a little bit of lore for you guys. I know some people aren't as intrigued about the lore, but I think lore is pretty important. Pretty important. Again, if you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, remember to like and subscribe. It really boosts the channel and gets me out there. I do a show every day, typically from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., where I talk about the news, and I did not mean to open up Project Zomboid. Oops. Well, that's good. I meant to open up Discord. Discord and Zomboid, I guess the same thing. Alright, let me grab my link here and share it in a couple more channels. Just a couple. Does the politics channel have a self-promo area? I don't think they do. Heartbreakingly, I don't think so. It's alright. We'll send it in not so erudite server. And I think that's probably it. Oh, Hutch. Yeah, I got Hutch too. Hutch is our homeboy. We love Hutch. We love Hutch. Hutch is an amazing, amazing individual. We love him out here, folks. We do. Alright, I'd say we can probably get started on the game real quick, and then once we hit the 15-minute mark, we can get into the news. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the Yu-Gi-Oh card of the day, Dark Magician Girl. Absolute Stacy. I'm gonna be honest, I hated the little, like, going into the monsters realm a little bit. I hated that. But Dark Magician Girl featured very prominently there, so thought I might bring it up. Anyways, I guess I can give a little quick recap of what's been going on. Just a lot of Venezuela stuff, obviously. You have Trump gloating on the world stage about that, but I don't think that is going to be good for America. Not in the slightest, because it sets a precedent that you can just invade willy-nilly your neighbor's wonton. It's quite the stupid move, in my opinion. There are ways you go about this, and this is not it. We did put Russia's forces to shame, though, considering how quick we did this, but still, just not a good situation all around, in my opinion. Sorry, I'm reading the text. We're going to Zaftra, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, we've completed the mission, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like it's stream's over. No. Okay. Give me something free. Give me something free. You know what I'm saying? I want that free shit. I'm so excited to finally have a camera though here soon. I've got an entire setup for it. We've got an entire rig here. It's gonna be pretty cool, I'd say. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I think, you know what, we'll just get into it a little early. Let's watch this PBS NewsHour together. I hope you're excited. Unfortunately, it's not who we typically watch, but that's alright, that's alright. It's only 26, and then after this, we're gonna finish up the Conduit video, so get hyped for that. Alright. Sorry, I need to find my music to turn it off. There we go. There we go. Let's see if we can get the vocal fry. Alright. Everything's good to go. We can take Dark Magician Girl off. Say bye to her. Very important card right there. And let's begin with our PBS News weekend.
Tonight on PBS News Weekend, President Trump says the U.S. will indefinitely run the country of Venezuela following the military's
No
capture
new
of the
wars. No new wars.
Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Then an on-the-ground report from Venezuela's capital, Caracas, as some celebrate the U.S. operation but worry about what comes next. And we head to one of the most remote parts of Alaska to see how the U.S. Census Bureau is making sure government grants get to the people who need them the most.
These places are not on the road system most of the time. You're flying in or boating in, and it's very prohibitively expensive to build. With these grants, they're able to build more homes for people, build community centers.
Major funding for PBS News Weekend has been provided by the ongoing support of these individuals and institutions.
Absolute
And
Chads and
friends of the
Stacy's,
NewsHour.
ladies and gentlemen. Give them a round of applause.
This program was made possible by the contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime, man. Anytime.
Good
I
evening,
got
I'm
you.
Allie Rogan. John Yang is away. There are moments in time when history possibly pivots, and today, in a stunning act of regime change, the U.S. military captured and brought Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro to U.S. soil. Not long after that, in a remarkable declaration, President Trump announced the U.S. would, quote, run Venezuela, and warned of a new era of United States domination over Latin America. We will get an on-the-ground report from Venezuela's capital, Caracas, in a moment, but we begin our coverage with Nick Schifrin.
Yeah, this is... I mean, what else? How else can you talk about anything else, right? Like, this is just such a big story right now, and for good reason, you know. The U.S. hasn't really done anything like this in years, and it's a step backward, in my opinion. because we got over this idea of imperialism, and we stopped that. We were very much against that, and to now where it seems like we are just full on embracing it is sad and embarrassing in my opinion. Anyways,
It was just after midnight over Caracas when U.S. helicopters with Delta Force soldiers descended toward Nicolas Maduro's compound. Nearby residents filmed and cowered from U.S. strikes on at least 4 locations. All part of the mission to capture and extract Maduro. By 2 a.m. local, they had him, and by 3 a.m. he was shackled aboard the USS Iwo the dictator-turned-detainee of the U.S. Department of Justice.
Y actualmente las reacciones internacionales son de completo.
U.S. military officials said U.S. helicopters took fire as they left Venezuela, but remained able to fly. A source familiar tells PBS NewsHour a small
thanks
CIA...
Trump. Yeah, I know, right? Thank you so much for throwing us into a brand new war. Like, I don't think the American people wanted to fight Venezuela. I may be off about that. Maybe you guys can enlighten me. But I don't think the American people wanted a war with Venezuela. But it doesn't really matter what the American people want when it comes to Trump. I really do think he doesn't really care about what the American people want. How is he hurting America? There is no war. You are not very smart, are you? Of course there's not going to be an immediate war, but look at what's happening. You already have drug cartel groups saying they're not going to work with the U.S. What are you on about? There's not going to be a war. Have you ever heard of an area like Sudan, an area like Libya? Have you ever heard of those places? I know it's halfway across the world, and your very small mind probably thinks that's the culture there or something, but I assure you, those people did not want to be at civil war. The people of Venezuela are very happy with Donald Trump. Did get your facts straight, you clown? You're a clown. That's interesting, because it seems as though you don't have your facts straight within this regard. Venezuela's political system is very fragile. It was if Donald Trump is to be believed, then it was being co-opted by drug runners. So please tell me how the USA and drug runners are going to be cooperating. I'd love to hear that. And if that's the case, are you really trying to stop drug flow, like was the casus belli for this war? Jerry, you need to come into the Discord and argue. I feel like you'd be a fun one to fight with.
A team arrived in August and created extraordinary insight into Maduro's pattern of life that made grabbing him seamless.
This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence.
In Palm Beach today, after he and his team watched the operation unfold overnight, President Trump announced the operation was not only about regime change.
We are
And
going to
I've seen disagreements. Some people of Venezuela are celebrating, others are not. Others were very loyal to the Maduro regime. No more drugs is a bad thing? No, 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 no. Don't try to shift it to no more drugs, brother. Engage with what I just said. If Donald Trump is to be believed, the entire government is being co-opted by drug runners. Do you think the drug runners are just going to give up their trade because Donald Trump told them to? Of course not. Of course not. So, whatever power these drug running factions have, they're going to use it. And they're going to try and gain power, more power. Just because we swooped in and took out Nicolas Maduro does not mean getting a communist dictator that works with drug gangs out of power is okay with you. Well, Not in this way, hell no. And we don't, again, you're not engaging with what I said. How are we going to attain power from these drug running rings? Are we just gonna fight them? Because if that's the case, I'd call that a war. Or are we going, what's the plan for dealing with them? If I'm anti-Trump, I support slavery. That's interesting. How do you justify that? Black Death, fun little name. God bless President Trump. He's not perfect, but he's doing the Lord's work. Oh yeah, just bombing innocent people and doing regime change. That's what you voted for, right? You voted for a president to get into foreign conflicts. Oh, no, no. You voted for the man who said no new wars. Was Libya, tell me, when we took out Gaddafi, did Libya overnight just become a hellhole? No, it took some time. You just wait. Venezuela has a very complex political system. So, yeah, this is a clown show. I hope this feed shows up again. Well, I mean, you're the one watching, brother. You know what I'm saying? That's like, you're talking to yourself right there. That's a little strange. You know, I don't think the YouTube algorithm is listening to you, but what you can do is like and subscribe, and that will definitely get me back up in the algorithm. Venezuela loves Trump. Ask me. I'm one of them. I'm sure you are, Gary. Gary Uville is from fucking Venezuela. I'm sure, Gary. I'm sure.
The country.
That's like that one here. You're like this, Gary. Hold on. Fox News X cartel member meme. Yeah, you're giving this, by the way. You're giving this. Former Antifa member speaks out. This is what you're giving. Jerry believes you, although I won't lie, Jerry is not the strongest of minds out here. But guys, don't be afraid to join the Discord if you disagree with me. The manipulation of public opinion is on overdrive, I see. Oh yeah, it's coming in full force. Yeah, exactly. Join the Discord or get lost. I mean, I'm cool with it being a war zone in my chat section. How many genders are there? I don't know. Does it matter? Who cares? See, this is how you know when MAGA is getting desperate. When they try to bring up the culture war stuff. They're like, trans people exist. How do you feel about that? That's my point exactly. All right, how many cells are in the human genome? Can you tell me that? Since you seem to be such an expert on how the human body works. How many cells are in the human genome?
Till such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition.
Dude, it is bot central today, but I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. I love seeing these bots. They're confused. No, I think you're confused every time you go on x.com and you or xvideos.com and you wank it to the trans shemale section. I think that's when you get the most confused. You're like, oh, why do I like this? Well, I guess I'll hate myself afterwards.
President Trump said Secretary of State Marco Rubio had spoken to Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, who was sworn in to replace Maduro.
She had a long conversation with Marco, and she said, we'll do whatever you need. I think she was quite gracious, but
Trump wins again. This is what we call cope right here. These people ran on no new presidents, but ladies and gentlemen, we see the real president behind him. We see the real president, the real orchestrator of this action behind him. Marco Rubio is controlling Donald Trump. And if you sit here and say that's not true, then you have not been paying attention to the administration. Marco Rubio is running Donald Trump's foreign policy strategy in the Western Hemisphere. And if you don't believe that, you're just coping.
She really doesn't have a choice.
But at least publicly today, Rodriguez rejected that.
No, it seems like the people of Venezuela don't really... This is interesting.
We demand the immediate release of President Nicolas Maduro and his wife.
Republicans are pedos who are afraid of their own shadow. You guys are P-words? Yes, I totally fucking agree. Dude, it's so disgusting how they ignore the Epstein files and now they're cheering on a conflict with Venezuela, all because their leader is looking horrible due to the Epstein files. It's disgusting. And needs to be called out, you know?
Celia Flores. The only president of Venezuela is President Nicolas Maduro.
And President Trump made clear part of the plan was to take Venezuela.
And how do you feel about this? You know, I find it funny that I'm guarantee these same people like Clancy Cheney out here, these same people say, well, we were only in Afghanistan for the oil. Why the fuck are we in Venezuela? Numbnut, you know, like, why do you think we're there? Donald Trump made it very clear it was for one thing and one thing alone, the oil. It's not because of drugs. All of the drugs that come from Venezuela go to Western Africa and Europe. This is for the oil. You guys are cheering on a war for oil. How embarrassing. You're shilling for the oil companies. Am I defending Maduro as a dictator? Did I say that Maduro's actions are justified or that he didn't try to, or that he shouldn't be out of office? Why did Democrats sit on the Epstein files if they were so incriminating to Trump's? Well, they didn't. There was an open investigation during the entire Biden administration, as far as we know. And we saw the fruits of that by Ghislaine Maxwell getting sentenced to more and more. Anyways. Can't even find Venezuela on a map. Well, you know what's funny? I'm actually, as far as we know, well, as what we do know, Jerry, is that Donald Trump closed the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein when Pam Bondi put out a memo during the Texas flood saying, everyone's innocent, there's no more to be found. Imagine being a 30-year-old man still living at home. Well, luckily, I don't, you know what I mean. I'm not 30, so young Americans are okay with owning nothing and remaining happy for Trump. Well, I think young Americans were sold a lie, and I think that's why a lot of people voted for Donald Trump. You know, I don't hate people that voted for Donald Trump. I think they were just sold a lie. And so when I see MAGA soy out in my chat like this, it's kind of like ripping off the Band-Aid. You know what I mean? Let them scream, let them cry. And at some point we'll be able to get back on top of things. Your wordplay is amazing. Thank you so much, Jerry. Thank you, thank you. But no, Trump closed the investigation. You know that, right? Young Americans have memes and Rogans to get by. No hate, they're gullible. Yeah, that's the ultimate conclusion I kind of come to. Donald Trump is proof that Democrats are completely out of touch with reality. Is that why Democrats have been winning almost every special election? I think that's interesting to look into. Why are the special elections blowing in Democrats' favors then? Donald Trump is not America first. Unfortunately, he is America last because he seems to be cutting deals with countries. Use common sense. Oh, geez. Which I doubt you have. The left did everything to defeat Trump, but somehow had all the evidence on him and Epstein, but didn't use it? No, we didn't have that evidence, and there was an active investigation. What are you talking about? There was an active investigation. MAGA, again, please join my Discord if you guys wanna yap, but I'm gonna get on with the video. If you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, boosts the liberal message out there. The left is literally part of the reason why he got elected, and you can't admit it. What are you talking about? How did we do anything? Well, what did we do to bring about Donald Trump? Please enlighten me. They tried everything like cheating and the fraudulent voting policies. What fraudulent voting policies are you talking about? You guys are the ones who want to do voting restrictions, not us. And I can admit that Kamala's campaign did not go as well as mail-in ballots. That's actually interesting for you because the Republicans benefit far more from mail-in ballots than Democrats do. So if you guys want to get rid of mail-in ballots, sure, we can do that. No ID needed to vote? That's not a policy. You need an ID to vote now.
The country has the world's largest oil reserves, which the U.S. helped develop exactly 1 century ago. But former leader Hugo Chavez kicked out some U.S. and other foreign energy companies.
Damn, oh, hold on, I'm getting a spam call. We love those, don't we? The bots really are in full swing today. I know people like Jerry and Dis or Dat Gaming. Wait, what did I stump on? Hold on, Dis or Dat Gaming. Let's read this. On mail-it ballots? I already addressed that. What are you talking about? I don't think you know what you're talking about right now, Dis or Dat Gaming. It's
and
bots
today,
all
the
the way
industry
down.
produces
I
a
agree.
fraction of its capacity.
We're going to be replacing it, and we're going to take a lot of money out so that we can take care of the country.
But the president made clear.
Okay, buddy. Yeah, when you get called out, that's interesting. How you just fade into the background. One moment, I gotta get rid of this bot, gang. One momento. Gotta get rid of this bot. Put user in timeout, 24 hours. You can come back later, brother. You can come back later. But guys, if you're enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. I do this show every day from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And I talk about news, politics, and all of that. You said we wanted to restrict voting. Yeah. You restricted it. You want to restrict voting. That's like a very, is that not your policy platform? People like me only yap and keep you down. No, I don't think you're a bot, Jerry. I think you're a better, I think you're a actual human. Liberals have no critical thinking skills. Amen. Amen, man. I don't even know how I got here. Somebody just put, somebody just put me on screen. How dare you assume their gender? Well, luckily for me, I'm not a absolute soy lord, so remember to invest and don't let this person or the government keep us down. Well, I tell people all the time to invest, so I don't know why you're saying I don't do that. Biden was the most sickening president, worst ever. What are you talking about? Donald Trump has multiple allegations. He's convicted of multiple sex crimes. What are you talking about? I think that's pretty sick to be supporting a president like that. Anyways, let's continue.
Today was not only about Venezuela. This was about displaying an ability and willingness to enforce regional domination and embracing the early 19th century declaration.
Well, if we're going by allegations, then how is whatever you have on Biden proof? Those are just allegations as well, are they not? Has Biden ever been convicted in a court of law?
By President Monroe to block foreign colonialism in the Americas.
They now call it the Donroe Document. I don't know. Under our new national security strategy, American dominance in the Western Hemisphere
Oh, shit.
will never be
My
questioned
bad, guys.
again.
One moment.
Rubio made clear the next possible target.
Yeah, look, if I lived in Havana and I was in the government, I'd be concerned.
And to critics who question whether a president who was elected in part to avoid foreign entanglements.
Why is running a country in South America America first?
Hey, I'm glad I could help you out, Jerry. You know what I mean? Soy Lord's not a bad one. Don't lie. Soy Lord's a pretty good one. It's one of my favorites. Joe Biden stopped COVID-19. Well, he did do a very effective rollout.
Well, I think it is because we want to surround ourselves with good neighbors. We want to surround ourselves with stability. We want to surround ourselves with energy. We have tremendous energy in that country.
I still feel that Trump is writing off reactions from China and Russia. Not a lot has been said, but I imagine both Russia and China were commenting further on the issue. I haven't seen too much comment from Russia or China either. My biggest fear is that they also buy into this idea of like the Monroe Doctrine and they just start going absolutely crazy on our allies.
Change not for democracy, but for energy and for its own sake.
We have no proof that Venezuela was a future missile crisis. Honestly, I'll chat you later. I got to go to the store. Good luck with the rest of the clown show. Well, thank you, Jerry. I appreciate it. Hey, I do not hate MAGA. You know what I mean? I really don't. I think we can have productive conversations. Oh, so now you want proof? What do you... No, we just don't have any proof that it was going to become a missile crisis like Cuba. You know what I mean?
As the question.
The biggest problem I have with this regime change right now is it's not very well planned. We haven't planned on how the we don't really have too many allies to be like propping up as a secondary government or something like that. And we took the revolution away from the people, you know? We really did take the revolution away from the people. Cuba and the Western Hemisphere forever. We have Taiwan, NATO, against China and Russia. Well, I think there were ways we could go about getting allies, and I think Brazil is a pretty powerful ally to the U.S., even though we do have our spats. But I don't think this is going to be the way we gain an ally, because as I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of drug runners in Venezuela who have a lot of power. And so just wants to be right. Doesn't anybody want to be right? Like, don't you want to be right?
Question tonight in Caracas and perhaps around the world. Now what? For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Nick Schifrin.
Oh, Donald Trump does love Russia. I won't disagree with you there. Unfortunately.
Earlier this afternoon, I spoke to feature story news reporter Mary Trini Mina in Venezuela's capital, Caracas. Thank you so much.
See the First Lady naked on the internet? I did at one point. I think I was like 20 when I found that out.
Much for joining us. We are speaking a few hours before our show airs. It's been an extraordinary day in Venezuela today. What has it been like on the ground?
Well, Venezuelans woke up hearing loud sounds, rumbling.
Argentina is the only country in South America on the side of the USA. This will create a coalition of South Americans against the U.S. Trump lost Venezuela because He's an incompetent pedo. Amen. Like, I feel like this. So to the point I was talking about earlier, you have these powerful drug lords who are going to not be, they're not going to be okay with U.S. enforcement. You know, it sounds like we're basically integrating Venezuela or something like that. So something tells me that these drug runners are going to join up with different forces and form a coalition against the U.S. And that's not good, obviously. Like, we had a real chance here to do something good and support the protesters, because there were protesters of Maduro's regime nearly daily. But instead, we've decided to take over ourselves, and I think that really hurts American ideals, and it really hurts the American image. What makes us different? What makes this different than what Russia did to Ukraine?
Across the city, it was complex situations from early hours. It began at 1:50 local time. It lasted for about 45 minutes. I personally heard planes, airplanes, and these detonations that kept happening
Look
for
at
about
this.
45 minutes.
The people of Caracas are going to remember that, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to remember those bright balls of fire on their horizon.
It's a difficult situation, very complex, with a lack of information coming from the government of Nicolás Maduro. Later on, they released a statement saying that this was an aggression perpetrated by the U.S. And according
By
to
the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. Hold on, it's going to go dark for a moment. It really helps out the stream and really boosts my numbers out there. So please remember to like and subscribe.
Venezuelan government, the sole purpose of this kinetic strike it was to gain control of Venezuelan oil resources. This ended up with the extraction of the leader of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro.
Very true, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I'd be cool with shelling out 50 million if it meant like, I'm not a fan of the Maduro regime, make no mistake. Make no mistake about it.
And also his wife, Celia Flores. Here in Caracas, there's been moments of quiet. Most people have decided to remain at home, considering today's event.
That's interesting. I just had a bunch of MAGA in my chat telling me there were people celebrating. Whatever happened to that?
And also, some people have decided to go to the streets, mostly the supporters of Nicolás Maduro. We need to remember that the Maduro government were bracing for a situation like this for many months now.
Oh, you guys want to see something? Look at this. This absolutely shocked my mind. Your screen's going to change for a moment. This is campaign contributions by the 100 wealthiest Americans. Noticed how the Republicans around 2022 get all the money and the Democrats get nothing. Huh, interesting. It's almost like they know they can pay the Republicans to lie for them. Interesting.
And the former leader of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, told his supporters that in case he was not present, the people should go out to the streets. Well, we are witnessing like small gatherings in Caracas mostly, and the majority of Venezuelans.
But if any of you MAGA want to come into my Discord, again, that guy doesn't exist. Or a totally funny dude that's actually my link to, oopsie. Shh, don't tell anybody I shared that. Don't do it, okay? That's actually just my YouTube stream link. But, here we go. Here's my server invite link. But I highly recommend coming into our Discord and arguing, because they don't like Democrats' policies. Well, of course they don't, because it makes them pay money. Of course they don't. You know? it may, the reason they don't like democratic policies is because we make them pay.
Remain at home waiting what is going to happen in the coming hours.
We have about 45 seconds left. President Trump today said that the U.S. is going to be running Venezuela. Is there any evidence on the ground that the United States is now in charge?
It's so sad to see all the MAGA just disappear once I start showing them evidence. Like, this is evidence in itself. They said the people of Caracas are partying. Do you hear bands? Do you see people in the background partying? Hell no.
Charge?
No, there is no evidence so far. The Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez appeared on television saying that she is running the country, that they are not happy with, of course, what happened, and they will not surrender. And they are calling this a kidnapping of the one and only legitimate president of Venezuela, that they will continue running the country. She appeared on television surrounded by members of the military forces and the main heads of the Maduro government, all loyal to Nicolas Maduro.
Mary Trina Mina with FSN, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Now we turn to James Story, who spent 25 years in the U.S. State Department and most recently served as the top U.S. diplomat to Venezuela. Ambassador, thank you so much for being with us. Clearly, the military achieved its mission here, but as you wrote today, tactical victories do not portend success in terms of the wider strategy. How do you think the strategy is playing out so far?
Well,
I'd say it's just going absolutely horribly, but I'd love to hear.
First question is, what's the desired end state? And is the desired end state is regime change? Well, we don't have that. What you have is a removal of the top of the regime, where you cut the head off one part of the head of a hydra, and you have the rest of the regime in power.
Yep. Exactly, ladies and gentlemen. You just not showing people are celebrating. Look at Florida over. Okay, in America. Of course they're going to celebrate in America, in Florida, of all places. But I've even seen protests in Florida, so...
laudatory words about Delcy Rodriguez, but at the end of the day, Delcy has been very adamant that what we did was kidnap Nicolas Maduro. So it remains to be seen exactly what the end state we're seeking is.
Yeah, so what do you make of the fact that President Trump today said that Rodriguez was planning to work with the United States, and then just a few hours later, she said basically exactly the opposite?
Well, it is curious. I don't know if this is the case of the dog that didn't bark or the dog that barks too much, but at the end of the day, what the president also said was that if we didn't have the right kind of support, there would be a second wave of attacks.
Yeah, think about this. A second wave of attacks. What does that mean? Well, I guess we'll never know. Or I guess we'll find out.
There's a clear indicator here. Are the wrongfully detained American citizens being released?
By the way, good to see you, Russian Roulette. I know we disagree, but I always enjoy seeing people here that are pretty frequent, so...
And are the political and military prisoners that are being held in the torture center called the Helicoide, are they being released? And if they're not, then this is just the same regime by different leadership.
I'd like to play for you some sound from Democratic Senator Tim Kaine today, who criticized this, as did many other critics, saying that this was illegal and unwise. Take a listen.
When the United States engages in unlawful attacks on other nations' sovereignty, it sends a message to the worst dictators in the world that they can do so as well. And I don't want the United States
Happy New Year to you, man.
to send the message that anything goes. I want the United States to send a message that supports human rights and the rule of law.
That's something else. Like, I don't know if just the way we're going about this is so messy, you know? We don't really have a long-term plan, and it's kind of obvious.
So, Ambassador, what message does this send?
Well, I think the Senator Kaine is exactly right on this. I have a lot of respect for Senator Kaine. It sends a bad message. I mean, what are the Chinese thinking right now about Taiwan? And certainly, if you look at the Russians, they invaded a sovereign nation, Ukraine, 3 years ago, over 3 years ago now, in front of the entire world. So we've lost the moral high ground on these issues. For me, this was about democracy. Maduro lost an election last year. It was about human rights. He is confronted with crimes against humanity. It was about narcotics trafficking, of course, but it was also about 9 million Venezuelans who have had to flee to seek a better life. That's 25% of the population of that country. It was about all those things. Yet the president goes on TV today to say it's about oil. So this is very
Yeah, that's something else. Like there was a way we could have went about this where it involves everybody in the Venezuelan country forming their new government in collaboration with the US instead of the US just bilaterally taking it over.
Sorry.
I'd like to return to what you said earlier about the head of the Hydra being cut off, but the rest of it remaining. Certainly, other ministers who were part of the Maduro regime are still intact. The director of the Internal Security Force, the director of the semi-official motorcycle gangs known as the Colectivos. So really, what do you make, and can you expand on how much...
Holy shit, they have motorcycle gangs? Oh, God.
...change this is ultimately going to lead to on the ground, given that the rest of the Maduro regime remains intact?
Well, I'm talking to people on the ground in Caracas, and they would love to go out and celebrate the end of Maduro's dictatorial regime. Yet they're fearful to do so because they know that Diaz-Cabello and Freddie Bernal and the rest of these people who were specially designated nationals on the SDN list from Treasury, they're sanctioned people, are liable to unleash these colectivos, these motorcycle gangs, semi-official motorcycle gangs, that are heavily armed to go out and intimidate them and potentially to begin a bloodbath. So you're not going to see the kind of natural reaction to a really despised figure. Maduro is a despised figure. We can debate the legality all day long. He lost an election. He is not particularly well liked inside of Venezuela, but the people of Venezuela are very nervous to do anything because the regime is still intact.
Ambassador James Story, thank you so much for joining us.
See, that's very interesting, too. I was more concerned about the drug running gangs. However, the regime is still intact. So have they really changed it?
Thanks for having me.
In today's other news, Iran's supreme leader vowed today to crack down on demonstrators following days of protests.
And this is something else. Like the Iranian protest were a great chance for America to actually gain some political favor. But instead of standing with the protesters, we make it very clear that it's not about the protesters. It's just about the government being in a weak position. I don't like I don't like the Iranian regime, not at all. But I also don't like wanton just attacking people without casus belli.
In his first public remarks since they began, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said rioters must be, quote, put in their place. Demonstrations will soon stretch into their second week.
By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, really gets me boosted out there. I do a stream every day from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So don't be shy with the sub.
Country's currency, the rial, plummets. On Friday, President Trump warned Iran the U.S. would come to the rescue of any peaceful protesters who face violence. President Trump also weighed in on the war in Ukraine today, saying he's frustrated with Russian President Vladimir Putin. He told reporters Putin is killing too many people. That comes as European national security advisors convened in Kyiv to discuss the latest peace proposals. The U.S. is currently behind a diplomatic push.
This is such a mess, ladies and gentlemen. This whole war is just such a mess.
To end the almost 4-year-old war. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is set to meet
Did you guys
with
think it was
European
going to last 4 years?
Leaders next Tuesday in Paris. Still to come on PBS News Weekend, why the city of San Francisco is suing the nation's top food manufacturers over ultra-processed foods. and how the Census Bureau counts every last person, even in the most remote parts of the U.S.
Yeah, we're not going to be watching that, but we will be watching.
This is PBS News Weekend
that
from the
little
David
last
M.
bit
Rubenstein studio at WETA in Washington, home of the
I feel like that could
San
be
Francisco is the kind of heavily Democratic city that the Trump administration often targets. But there's one issue they agree on. They're both taking aim at ultra-processed food. In the first lawsuit of its kind, San Francisco is suing 11 of the nation's top food companies, saying they sell ultra-processed food knowing that they are harmful to health. By some estimates, more than 60% of the food consumed in the United States is ultra-processed. A growing body of scientific research says diets high in ultra-processed food lead to chronic diseases like obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and depression. Earlier, John Yang spoke with Ashley Gearhart, a University of Michigan psychology professor who studies addiction.
Ashley, we just heard the San Francisco city attorney say that ultra-processed foods are designed to be addictive. Do you agree?
Yes, in my lab that we see that these products can really trigger all the core signs of addiction. That loss of control, those intense cravings, that continued use.
I guess what they would have to do in this lawsuit is prove that the companies knowingly put out. If you want good information on Iran, there's a woman named Goldie on YouTube. She's Iranian, but I don't know her YouTube handle. I'll look her up real quick.
Even though you know it may be killing or harming you.
How do they do that? What are in the foods that make people addicted to it?
Yeah, there's a certain addiction playbook that's been used from tobacco to opiates to sports betting. You take something that typically exists in nature, like a plant or, a fruit, and you alter it so it gives just right dose of reward. It stimulates you, but doesn't fully satisfy you. So you want to keep coming back for more. You can titrate the smell, the flavor, the taste, and then you flood the environment with it. So your consumers, even if they have a slight moment of temptation, the product is right at arm's reach. And the next thing they know, they're using again. This is what's happened to our food supply when big tobacco really took over in the 70s and 80s. And those same levers have been used to create ultra-processed foods that are now killing 1,400 Americans every day.
You say when big tobacco...
I think we're going to probably end the PBS NewsHour there because we do have to get to the Asman video. But again, guys, I always say go watch PBS NewsHour. They're very good for information, and they're very good for just getting your everyday news recap. But let's get back. So if you guys didn't catch yesterday's stream, we went over the first half of Conduit's video. Conduit is a friend of mine that I will at some point be having on the show, but he created a really good video about Asmongold. If you guys don't know what Conduit typically does, is he'll spend an entire week watching a specific streamer and then report back to us. He's just an amazing, an amazing video maker. And he's an up-and-coming YouTuber, so I always give him a shout-out. If you guys are interested in that, here is his link. Go check him out. He's a cool guy. We have fun conversations from time to time in Ice Bean's server. And, yeah. Anyways, we are going to get back into this. I believe what Asman was covering here was the protests in Mexico, so...
Recha Diario and Augustin Antonetti are two right-wing digital strategists with connections to Salinas and have operated in South American politics previously and have used bots and artificial promotion of hashtags on Twitter like Narco Presidente in the Mexican election. They both participated in the creation of this movement. And the final piece of evidence that this was astroturfed is that the protest following this one only garnered 200 people. There is not broad dissatisfaction with Scheinbaum in Mexico.
Right. It's all bots and right-wing extremism. That must be it, guys. Yeah, for sure, guys. 100% that's what it is.
It's so funny when he says that and then Conduit just read, like, there's so many right-wing contributors to this protest.
She still says she has 80% approval rating? Really? I see that.
She has 70% approval. A crowd of people is not indicative of nationwide popularity.
Do you believe that ICE human rights violations are committed with total impunity? I disagree with the idea of human rights to begin with. People don't have a name.
Yeah, I don't think humans should have rights. Whoa, Asman, hold on now, bubs. Hold on.
Rights are invented. There's no difference between a right and the way that you should treat somebody. So
yeah, Don, you heard that right. Oh, bro, you have to go back and watch the VOD from yesterday if you missed it. It is so just mask off. Asman goes full mask off mode.
You've started off the conversation on a lie.
Okay, cool. What do you think about ICE's violation of people's invented rights?
A human rights violation. According to who? Somebody who disagrees with you? Oh, okay.
Dude, well, I agree. These people, you know, I believe memeing on right-wingers is the best way to, and left-wing extremists on both sides, the best way to deal with them is to completely meme on them, ladies and gentlemen, because taking any of their ideas seriously has already lost the battle. You've already lost the battle because you're taking a racist idea that has no place in our society seriously. So I really do advocate for memeing on people like Asman, memeing on people like Nick, memeing on people like Benny, you know? It's the classic quote, the anti-Semite will laugh when a Jew turns out their pockets to prove that they are not the greedy person that they are. But it doesn't matter because the Nazi delights in that action. That's what they want. They want you to soy out and spurg out and say, oh, well, actually, that's what they want, you know?
Well, let's just listen to them tell you why you're wrong. No, I don't think so.
Well, there are the people who died, the people violently detained without cause, the people deported against court orders and their legal status, the people arrested despite following the rules they were given to avoid deportation, the people who died, and the people who were violently detained without cause.
So he's saying this about Donald Trump? What the fuck?
More Epstein cope that these emails don't literally say, yes, we were best friends doing sex crimes together.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for the Trumpers to admit that one. Like, yeah, they did seem to be pretty decent friends.
I feel like it's such an abstract thing to say, right? Because if you're saying that he brought up
Are we talking
Trump,
abstract like just in a theoretical sense, or abstract in the sense of your hair being on your head?
After the relationship had ended, does that mean that he's talking about new things, or he's talking about Trump in general? I think this is that's a misleading statement.
Amen.
You know what?
The copium.
This actually makes me think that they were actually pretty good friends. Because there's no way you're going to be emailing somebody years after the fact, still mouthing out over it, unless you guys used to be boys. Yes, he was patient zero for TDS. Exactly. Very close. But like obviously he didn't, like Epstein clearly doesn't think
TDS is my favorite because it's like he's the fucking president. Who else are we supposed to be talking about? Roy from fucking 5 blocks down? Fuck off. Of course we're going to talk about the president. And things Trump is doing are uniquely bad for our democracy, you know? I think people claiming, you know, anybody claims TDS, you're winning the argument because they can't think of anything else than to just say, "Oh, well, you're crazy."
That about Trump, because if he did, he wouldn't have been friends with him for all those years.
Yes, the people who might have one specific thing in common that they can't share with anybody else wouldn't override their other feelings about each other that they might find distasteful.
He's close to no one. Well, if he's close to no one, then I guess then you weren't close to him, right? If you're saying this. I would not look at Jeffrey Epstein as a reliable narrator. It's worth taking into account, it's worth reading and listening to, but I wouldn't just believe it.
In the span of one day, we've gone from,
oh, it could make somebody look bad? Too bad. You shouldn't have gone to an island with a pedophile.
To, well, being in the files doesn't mean you're technically a pedophile.
Well, technically, I mean, he never said that Trump was having sex with children specifically. He may have implied it a bunch of times, but he never, you know what, I'll give you. Jeffrey Epstein, as far as we've seen, has not sent the email. Donald Trump, that guy's a pedophile. And I know it for a fact. I'll give you that.
Well, Trump's name being in the files doesn't mean he did anything wrong. Like, Epstein is crashing out about Trump and they're not even friends anymore. So are you counting all the times that he's complaining about Donald Trump in his emails? It's so dishonest. Just release the files, we'll figure out who the weirdos are, and arrest them.
Who's in charge of releasing the files, Asman? Who's in charge of releasing the files?
And also, he has an opinion about the concerns about Trump's health, given that he got an MRI that he won't explain the purpose of.
Maybe there's something
Not
wrong
friends
with Trump
anymore. Hey, good to see you, Toby. Yeah, I know. It's like, I think if you were ever a friend with Jeffrey Epstein, we really need to be looking into you. And that goes for Clinton as well. Slick Willie ain't getting past me.
Okay, well, I don't know. Maybe he has cancer, or maybe there's some other big issue. Maybe it was an MRI. They needed to do that because he's the president, and they do an extra level of testing for somebody who's the president. I don't know. It could be.
By the way, Toby, amazing community member, just an absolute Stacy.
50 different reasons.
Okay, but the issue is we still don't know, and he won't tell us.
I think it's important for people to know whether the president
You missed
is
it earlier, Toby. We actually had a herd of MAGA. You won't believe it. We had an entire herd graze. We had like 75 fucking people in here, all grazing. It was something to behold. You know, you rarely see a herd of MAGA like that, but it was truly breathtaking.
Capable of doing the job.
I'm gonna warn you now, if this video is spiking your blood pressure, 1, I'm sorry, and 2, it's gonna get worse. Because Asmongold is about to react.
It got a bit crazy. Did they all leave? Yeah, it's once the bots realize I'm not quite their ideal to make fun of, they immediately leave. It's hard being a liberal out here, guys. It's hard being a liberal, let me tell you.
To Kyle Kalinski's video calling him
But
the
soon I'll have my face on camera, so I think that'll benefit to them. And soon I'll be doing horizontal streams. Not getting triggered enough. Yeah, I think that was it. I think they imagine I have to go like, no, actually, brr. And the moment I don't give them that, they flee. But it's okay.
dumbest person of 2025.
Look, you do a massive disservice. You have this giant audience of people who follow you, and if you're out there...
The disservice is disagreeing.
Kalinski's arguments kind of suck because he's basically blowing hot air for his own audience rather than trying to say anything substantial. But Asmongold's response is... something. He starts off with a whopper on Trump's cuts to the NIH, which include cuts to pediatric cancer care.
Has it ever occurred to you that maybe the research was done in a way that was bad?
Yep. Damn right. Those kids don't deserve a cancer research. They don't need... It reminds me of Nick Shirley going, Can I have one medical coverage? I need a health plan. Can I have 2 health plans if I get them together?
Every time that people say something like this, the implication is that, oh, they're curing cancer or something like that. This is bullshit. Yeah. And also on top of that, yeah, just because you're doing research doesn't mean that it's a good allocation of government money.
Asman will not look up to see whether this is even remotely true. Federal budget cuts, amongst other things, include $4 million from the Pediatric Brain Tumor Consortium, an organization that does research on rare cancers affecting thousands of children every year.
The private sector will do it, right, guys? The private sector has an interest in curing cancer. They'll cure cancer. Don't worry. Yeah, the private sector will take care of that.
You might think on principle that the government shouldn't fund bad science, but they aren't checking on the validity of the research because the mechanisms aren't in place to do an audit like that, let alone that quickly. And if you need evidence, over the course of this year, the government has fired thousands of people and then had to hire them back because they didn't realize they were necessary. This is not being done with care or concern for the consequences.
But I do think they're probably overshooting and probably firing too many people too quickly. But I think that
By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. It helps out the channel and boosts my visibility, which we all love.
Inevitability of this is not to be denied. But it's for cancer kids. Okay, great emotional argument. Because the idea of, oh my God, he's cutting research for cancer kids. Oh no.
Yeah.
That sounds
Oh no, dude, for real. That sounds bad, but when you really look at it, guys, we're only killing like 25% of those kids with cancer. They would have gotten treatment that that wasn't experimental. They would have been just fine. Only 25% of them.
Sounds bad.
What he
Yeah,
will
it sounds bad because it is. Amen. Like, there was a video that Asman was reacting to about the Somali fraud, and he was mask off, just being racist, calling them scammers. So, and there was this woman who was being super vulnerable with the camera crew, and he's just like, "Oh, this is exactly what the news does. This is the Karens are gonna eat this up." To where it's like, no, dude, if you're a human, you're gonna feel some type of way for that poor woman.
look up is whether the Weather Service cuts were
I really do feel like they're trying their hardest to reject their humanity. I think they see them being human as like weakness to a certain extent. And that's so backwards.
actually to blame for flash flood deaths in Texas.
According to three formers, staffing shortages in national services are nothing new. So this has already been happening.
Oh, it sounds like we need to surge money to those areas. But I'm assuming your cure to it is just going to be.
It was already happening, and it was.
I am dubious that cutting staff for the Weather Service as we encounter more and more extreme weather events will have a positive overall impact on our ability to navigate them in the future, even if you accept that it wasn't a problem this time.
This is the thing, right? You give a specific example, and it falls apart.
Now, what about Trump cutting the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's budget in half?
Good. They weren't doing their job.
Bro, we are leaving so... Okay, guys. This will blow your minds. We're leaving like $1.5 trillion, I believe is what I saw, of money on the table by not funding the IRS. We are leaving so much money on the table by not funding the IRS and by letting people just commit fraud. You know, these people, I find it so ironic. They want to get outraged about Somali fraud, yet their very own dude made cuts to an agency that is specifically designed to detect fraud. He gets to put out more plagues? Yeah, that's true. That's why he's such a fan of RFK.
The FPB was created after the 2008 financial crisis and has a budget today of a little under $1 billion.
They obviously had no fucking idea what they were doing.
But prior to the cuts, they had clawed $21 billion back for consumers.
Oh yeah, the Joe Biden one. Yes, I remember. Just Trump being an absolute dickwad. Here, I'll show it to everybody. It's all memes. Let's see. Oh, geez, it's an entire soliloquy. I didn't realize, and it's the auto pen. Very funny, Trump. The auto pen.
And imposed $5 billion in fines. Again, this is an institution that has a higher rate of return for...
Chad, by the way, Chad Conduit using PBS News as a source. We love
people it
see
helps than the taxation it costs to operate.
The scams have been through the fucking roof. So there's a bureau of people that are supposed to stop scams. And you want to keep them on payroll? They sucked.
Firing government workers who are veterans?
Oh no, you can't fire veterans anymore.
Trump is firing 80,000 people.
Just like a Truth Social post. Oh, that's so embarrassing. I think the Truth Social platform is just so hard to even navigate.
At the Department of Veterans
Random
Affairs.
capitalizations. I've been doing that. If you guys have noticed the titles of my shorts, I've been just capitalizing random letters and stuff to really get the MAGA engaged. It seems to be working too. One moment. All right.
There is no way to fully predict the impact of so many people losing their jobs in such a short amount of time, or the reverberations it will have across the broader economy. But this will mean that care for veterans will get worse.
Another emotional appeal.
Genius. Thank you. You know, it does seem to be working. It really does.
250,000 government workers overall.
Good. It should have been more.
Apparently, Asman isn't worried about the economic impact of sudden large-scale job loss. I'm scared to hear what he thinks about gutting USAID.
Oh, no. That's right. It's America's responsibility to pay for people that have HIV and AIDS in Africa.
Unironically.
Yeah, you dumbass. It is. Does he? Oh, geez. These people have such a small view of the world, dude. Holy fuck. Just somebody send them back to, like, samurai era Japan. You know what I mean? And then we can just, like, stop role-playing like we're this isolationist country that doesn't engage with the world.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The total cost of USAID fluctuates
By the way, just put out a new short.
between $40 and $60 billion, or around about $105 per person in the United States, and less than 1% of the total federal budget. Since 1990, USAID has helped cut mortality for children under 5 in half, and 90 countries had their under 5 mortality drop by 2/3. PEPFAR, which provides AIDS medication, has saved 25 million
The
people.
USAID funding was, or cutting of the funding was maybe, yeah, I'd say it was the most shameful actions one of the most shameful actions America has ever done. I definitely think so. I was proud of USAID. I really was. I still am proud of what we accomplished with it, but that was one of the moments where I said, oh, this is going way too far. And I need to get my voice out there somehow. Yeah, this was disgusting
people,
in my opinion.
and currently helps 20 million people, including 500,000 children.
People have been dying.
By the way, if you guys are enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe. It helps the channel out and boosts me out there in the algorithm. So
Is he specifying in America or not? No, he's not. It's because it's not happening in America.
If you don't believe the numbers that say hundreds of thousands of people will inevitably die as a result of dismantled infrastructure to provide aid, or that the people who can migrate will inevitably put even more pressure on American immigration services that will be much more expensive, which Asman understands based on his analysis of Mexico, what about the fact that USAID's support confined disease outbreaks to parts of the world that meant they had a much harder time finding their way to the US? For example, the West Africa Ebola outbreak in 2014. USAID led the response, and he dismantled USAID while another outbreak is ongoing.
It's because you have people here that are dying from lack of medical care. You have people here that don't have housing. Where is the priority list that a veteran ever gets outranked by a person in Africa? Oh no, you can't fire veterans anymore. Yeah, I agree with it. Good call. W. And also all these examples here that he's given are policy decisions and not actual violence. I was discussing things like Charlie Kirk and Jay Jones in the clip. And so he's misinterpreted what I've said.
Oh, Jay Jones. They're so sad Jay Jones got elected. I'm happy, dude. I think Jay Jones working on some good stuff down there. I don't want to say what, but I think Jay Jones is working on some good stuff. And I think he's got a real potential. Nick, what are you doing here?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Making the Argument. I have a special guest today.
Stop.
Continuing on our...
Stop it. I know you're really excited to finally be getting out of office, but you did try to sell things. You did bring a bunch of advertisements during your political podcast while you were in office. I think there's some rules against that, buddy. I think there's some laws that prevent you from advertising your gold. Like for example, this right here. Remember, this man's in office.
What credit should we give the Enlightenment to that versus antiquity, or do you think it falls outside of what we would call classical liberal? It comes sweat stains screwing up your shirt, right?
This man's in office, and he's selling you Mando. Get the fuck out of here, Nick. Don't be selling me Mando. Go do your job. It was a gold ad? Oh, he's done a lot of ads. Oh, yeah. We're talking gold. We're talking deodorant. Fuck, I even think candles were part of it. What the fuck is Mando? Well, Mando is what you use soap for men. Mando is what you use when you're 35 years old and still a virgin, and you think you think you need to get more in touch with your manly side, but really you just need to be honest with your emotions. That's what Mando is for. Just slap a little Mando on, man. You'll be fine. Oh, that's honestly a really good screen grab right there. I'm taking that and putting it in the bank. But yeah, Nick, you should be more afraid. You shouldn't be so concerned about these advertisements and more afraid about what our leader in our Lord in Christ J. Jones is about to unleash upon you. Reminds me of the Axe body wash loofah that they made shaped like a tire so you don't feel like a woman in the shower. Dude, I love my loofah. It's pink too.
Even making an argument that doesn't even make sense in the context of what I said.
All of these things make people more susceptible to violence and overall suffering. And regardless of if it's directly violent, his casual willingness to vocally endorse choices that have and will lead to more people needlessly dying is more monstrous than anything J. Jones has
Just the other day, he was saying he wanted to radicalize people. I was watching it on IRI's stream before I was streaming, and I brought it up on mine. He was saying how he wants to radicalize people. He wants people to become radical. And while he was saying, oh, obviously non-violently, wink, wink, shove, shove, it was pretty clear what he meant.
But we're not done yet. Asman's perspective on the government killing people they've labeled as terrorists has changed in the last 5 years.
Let me get this straight. So the U.S. government can read a license plate with a satellite from outer space, but you think that a Twitter post that
American exceptionalism
said that the people were innocent is more accurate than that?
People in glass houses shouldn't throw...
I love America, but I'm not... I'm not blind to what we actually have capability-wise.
Tweets.
And they're
wink, nudge, nudge. Know what I mean? Say no more. Yeah, right? It was really disgusting. I couldn't believe that he didn't get immediately banned after what he was saying.
Trying to think that it's new.
But to his main point, we have not gotten any evidence that these people are absolutely guilty of crimes, that the crimes would require this response, or that the repercussions of carrying out these responses would be worth it versus other means. He's just taking Trump at his word.
Sure. Because they agree with it. Because it's the right thing to do. It is. Absolutely. Blow up the boats. Without even...
Oh, dude, that is so backwards. Like, these people were supposed to be no new wars. Have you ever watched Monty Python? I've watched a little bit of the Holy Grail. We actually watched it in my English class together.
How could you be against that?
You don't just shoot people randomly. Who determines who a terrorist is? The person with the gun? What happens when they're wrong?
If I saw somebody running at my house with a bomb, I would want to shoot them before they got to my house. I wouldn't want to try to apprehend them, arrest them, and try to put them through a whole process.
Drugs are now bombs, ladies and gentlemen.
No, you just fucking shoot them. And he'd do the same thing.
The analogy doesn't work because the urgency of someone being immediately outside and someone being thousands of miles away are completely different.
It's insane. Okay, well, that's a good argument for why they're not narco-terrorists.
Trafficking narcotics, the penalty is not instant death. Are you...
Yeah, it is.
What? Oh, that's crazy. Oh, that's insane. So, like, the 8th I have in my sock right now, should I be executed for that? For the 8th of marijuana that I have in my sock right now, should I be summarily executed because I have that? That's insane, dude. That is just flat out insanity to say drug traffickers deserve to be executed. Oh my goodness. Look at his face, by the way. Why is it shaped like that? He looks really dumpy right now. This is a dumpy face. And I think it's deserving of a dumpy screen grab. Canada sells it around the corner from the government, but you better be deported for your 5-piece. Yeah, I know. Yep, I should be a born American citizen, and then I guarantee people like Asman, if they heard I was quote unquote selling drugs, which I'm not, I just want to make that very apparent. I would never sell drugs. But he'd want us to be deported, you know? So gross.
And if it's not, it should be. How about that? Who's gonna stop us?
How did okay. What is his face like an illusion? Look at how big and like dumpy his face and round his face is here.
And if
but
it's
when he
not...
turns back, what's happened? His dumpy face is gone, and now it's replaced with a much smoother, smaller face.
It's
very
should be.
Strange.
How about that? Who's gonna stop us? Yeah, exactly. Fuck them.
You don't give the government unilateral authority to execute people on the premise of a crime that hasn't been proven after the execution has already taken place. Or, as Asman said,
who determines who a terrorist is? The person with the gun? What happens when they're wrong? Do you ever think about this?
And now more equivocating
forehead illusions, literally.
Of rhetoric that comes with a bunch of claims that would each require extensive work to counter, so please don't confuse my brevity for a
that shit's more like a fucking... That's just a head at that point. He ain't got much hair going on there.
Lack of substance.
To be fair, this was after...
all I'm saying, I had the nads to shave my hair once I saw the results of male pattern baldness. Why can't men do the same? Why can't some men just do the same, ladies and gentlemen? Do you think Asman would look any worse with a shaved head or a bald head? No, I think he'd look better. But for some reason, these people are too afraid to shave their heads. You know, all I'm saying, not everyone is ready to take the leap. Well, some people, you know, you can't spend an entire trip packing your bags. At some point, you have to go, you know? And that's what Asman's doing. He's just packing the bags, even though he is 10 minutes late to his flight. He is still packing the bags because he can't forget about, he doesn't want to lose what little, I guess, hair he has on his head. I think you look more masculine if you have a shaved head and stuff. It depends on the person, but Asman looks, you know, it's not even like a hairline anymore, man.
4 years of them trying to delegitimize Trump's presidency by him being connected to Russia.
That's true. That's true. Luckily, I have the trans rights pins and the demeanor, or else I'd probably be in the same category. I have that nightmare all the time while packing while being late to a flight. Well, just imagine that feeling constantly, and that's what Asman is in with his hair. It's already left, man. The flight's gone. Best thing you can do now is just buy a ticket and wait. Hope to God they have something open at 3 p.m. or else you're screwed, dude.
Multiple people on Trump's campaign were found guilty of crimes connected to Russia, even if the direct collusion theory some people promoted didn't pan out.
You know, and I still wonder about this to this day. How much did the Trump admin know? You know, if it wasn't for the politicalization of it, I would have loved to know, like, how much did Trump know? But then he has to shave regular. Do you think he would maintain that? That's very true. Yeah, that's true. He's got to look in the mirror as well, and I don't know if the mirror can handle what looks back.
Remember the hashtag not my president, where people were saying that, oh, he's just, you know, got elected because of Russia?
A Twitter hashtag is not indicative of people trying to delegitimize an election. Trump lost the popular vote in 2016 by a significant margin, and his many character flaws were apparent in the way he talked and operated.
While I do
yeah,
say
dude, that's something else. Like, why can't these people just admit Donald Trump has said things that are divisive? They treat him like he's this great uniter of the sides. Fuck no. Donald Trump is divisive as hell.
That January 6th was a bad thing. I don't think that, again, Republicans did not invent election denial. And it turned out that all that, by the way, was bullshit.
I've never seen, like, there was never this wave of election denial in the past, where you had an active president basically throwing shade at a fair election.
Yeah.
Remember Al Franken? Al Franken was a senator. There was a picture that he took where he was like fake grabbing somebody's titty while they were sleeping.
They call Obama the most divisive president because black man. Yeah, I know. Obama did some great things while he was in office, and I wish people, you know, people in the future will be able to give him credit, but these crooks, of course not. And, you know, it's so infuriating because you have people come in here and be like, oh, you're just being partisan and all this stuff. Like, and that's so far from the truth, dude. I am, like, I really want there to be people that come to my side from the other side. You know, I like moderate voices. I like the more radical voices in my party. Not too radical, of course. You know, we're not talking Hassan here, but, you know, some people are like, let's just get universal health care. I like that energy, dude. You know? Calling him a divisive president is such a joke. Oh, Obama? Yeah, I know. He was the uniter-in-chief. And so was Biden, by the way. I just want to point out, while Biden, you know, what they point to Biden being divisive is he stood behind a red background and said MAGA was bad. That's it! You'd think he announced the execution of every MAGA member. No, he just said it wasn't good for our country. And they used that as evidence that Joe Biden was divisive. Give me a break.
Though that would be the most well-known of Franken's transgressions, he was also accused of forcibly kissing a woman who was performing with him at a USO show, once again showing that Kulinski needs to stop using Twitter as a source.
Well, I think if you want to talk about a policy decision that's like very unhinged that makes people radicalized, I think that a good example of that is the trans in sports. Also, like trans kids.
That's what radicalizes people. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what Hold on, bro. Hold it. To them, divisive has nothing to do with what he says or does. It has to do with that they were unhappy he won it all. I know, and you know, Joe, it's so the story of Joe Biden's you know, just the story of Joe Biden in general is just so sad. And you can tell he loved this country and he loves this country, but you could tell that he did his best with what he was given, and he got a lot of progressive policy and just good policy through that I think a lesser president wouldn't have, truly. So it really does just suck to see all these people just hate on him just because he was a Democrat or just because he was Joe Biden. I have a major soft spot for Joey B, I can't lie. Yeah, me too, dude. Joe Biden did so many good things, and it's a shame that the left doesn't realize all the alt left, they don't realize what Joe Biden has done and like all the progressive policy he passed. He passed infrastructure reform. He brought 500 million, or not 500 million, half of the kids in poverty, which I think is around that number, out of poverty for a year. He did so much. And yet, he gets shit on just because he helped our ally Israel out. Just the fact he has a wholesome, loving relationship with his son is so heartwarming. Oh, I know, dude. And, you know, you just listen to his story, and it really is tragic, but there's a through line of public service for the people in Joe Biden's history. So, I think he was an amazing public servant that deserves all the credit in the world for doing what he did and doing it well. Despite all the negative headlines and opposition he constantly had thrown at him.
kids using bathrooms. Now, you can make an argument that this
Hunter Biden for vice president, you know what I'm saying? Hunter Biden for vice president.
isn't really a big issue, but if it's not a big issue, then why are you fighting it so much?
Especially
Is my hair
relative
thinning
to
because
what we are expecting now. Oh yeah, dude. The next president, I've said this, is just going to have to clean up this mess and then finally we'll get back on track. But until then, it's just going to be a bunch of dragging our feet and not actually fixing issues that affect the American people.
because I'm getting older or because I find clumps of it in my hands moments after I hear comments like that. They are not some grand-scale interference in the ability of cisgender kids to get scholarships or recognition. The biological condition of those kids is not inherently an advantage either, because traits that are advantageous vary from sport to sport before you even get to whether the kid in question...
how Republicans tried to make Hunter seem like a crazy drug-fueled insane person. He does one interview and people are like, wow, he is just a normal and cool guy. Yeah, dude, Hunter... What Hunter had... I mean, that just is a strong man, you know? It takes a strong person to beat addiction. And so, I wouldn't mind. Honestly, I only halfway joke about Hunter Biden being VP. I think it would restore trust in American democracy, because we just had this rich dude who just fucked up a bunch of stuff, and then instead of that, we get a normal dude as VP who speaks to the nation on a calm level, is intelligent about the politics, but knows how to make it palatable for a general audience. I'm not even joking. I think Hunter Biden would be a good VP. And we've had addicts as our president before. Make no mistake, JFK was a great president, but he was hopped up a lot of the time. And I think we're seeing that with Trump too. You can only hit the addies for so long before you start not to really have an effect from them.
has that trait to a degree that would be advantageous in the first place. It is not worth this level of national scrutiny to monitor this issue.
That argument is of the same validity of flat Earth. This is a flat Earth argument. I think loving Hitler is bad. Absolutely, it's bad.
And now for why Trump insulting everyone is acceptable, because people have been insulting him.
Okay, so what I find to be funny about this is that, yes, Trump has used negative words about Democrats. But how many times was Trump called a Nazi? How many times was he called a racist? How many times was he called a Russian asset? I would say calling somebody vermin, radical, or a lunatic is not even remotely in the same category as calling somebody a Nazi.
Trying to assert that someone
What, bro? How?
isn't a Nazi at the same time they're using the exact same rhetoric Hitler used against Jews is not going to be very convincing.
I think the reason why people like Kyle were upset is that the words that they have used for many, many years, things like Nazi, racist, etc., all these bullshit words, have effectively lost all their meaning.
Racism is just a bullshit
haven't
word.
lost their meaning.
Doesn't exist.
People have just had their sense of shame eroded by the way social
Dude, racism died when the Civil Rights Act came. What are you talking about?
media simultaneously isolates us in echo chambers and creates competition for attention via the most extreme ideologies. It's not that calling something racism doesn't mean anything. It's that racism itself doesn't mean anything because it's become so normalized.
That's why I'm not popular, ladies. I'm joking. My shorts and my streams are actually doing really good on capturing newer people that aren't really part of the loner industrial complex, but just randos that have been saying they enjoy my stuff. So I'm actually really happy about all the support I've been getting.
That people have, ironically, built up a tolerance.
And this is after they tried to put him in jail and, fucking gave him a mugshot, charged him 34 times for the same exact crime.
They didn't charge him 34 times for the same crime. He did the same crimes multiple times by funneling money through his campaign to pay off Stormy Daniels to cover up their affair.
It's pretty obvious that this has been weaponized from both directions.
Who's the biggest commentator on the right these days? Nick Fuentes. Here's some stuff Nick Fuentes has said. Quote, Hitler was really fucking cool. I admire Hitler.
And how many
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Crazy leftist people are out there. Oh, but Hassan said this thing.
And I don't know if you heard, Toby, but I did announce that I will be having a podcast with multiple different members of the loner community. The confirmed ones so far are me, Rootsy. That's about it. And me. That guy doesn't exist. But with the public pressure campaign, I'm hoping to also include Kalinda, Spider, Mina, and potentially even Conduit. Those are my hopes, but I'm very excited for that, and we'll be going to horizontal streams too here soon because YouTube allows you to multi-stream with both vertical and normal. Very important members. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I think Mina's in it, and she'll be good for European and just geopolitics in general. I kind of want to have like everybody bring a story from each week. Thank goodness, no offense, I hate the shorts format with a passion. I know, a lot of people do. But, you know, it's for a while there, it was the only way I could really get eyes on my videos. But luckily now, I'm going to have it to where it'll do a horizontal stream and a vertical stream. They were having some issues with the algorithm originally when they implemented the feature, although it seems it's been fixed now because I see a lot of shorts people that I watch doing horizontal and vertical now. So very excited for that. And we're changing up formats too. Like we're doing all sorts of new stuff. Same, I don't like that it's so much better for views. Well, guess what? We'll be getting the best of both worlds here soon. And I should be implementing that by the end of next week. So Friday of this next week. I should be
what the fuck does that have to do with me?
Streams.
What Nick Fuentes said, like, I don't have to defend that. I didn't say that. Why the fuck would I even, why even bring that up? There's nothing to do with it. I will say it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It's very obvious that the Democrats have been the massively violent ones. And if you look at all these studies, by the way, that were conducted, these studies don't show a massive rise in violence that happened in 2020. They don't show the massive rises in violence that happened during the Tesla bombings, for example. And the reason why is because all of these studies are biased.
So here's the obvious thing that Asman gets wrong about crime in 2020. There were, in fact, noticeable spikes in crime, but there were also noticeable drops in others. You have 3 seconds to guess why this might have happened. It was COVID. The spikes in crime have some correlation to BLM, but it wasn't an aberration in criminality. It was the main focus of people's attention while everyone was mostly stuck inside, and therefore it became associated with the overall trends going haywire. And I'm not dismissing the idea that there was violence.
I'm working on a new Gamer-matic box as well. The new Gamer box. It's gonna be pretty cool because I have a new MS Paint program that I'm using called Paint.net. That's essentially like the MS Paint program, but it allows true transparency and it gives me a couple other pretty valuable tools. And so, get excited for a new Gamer box and a new Newsomatic that I debuted on my shorts just today.
During BLM that wouldn't have happened without it. A police station was burned down. There was about $2 billion in property damage. But here are the FBI's own statistics, not the calculations made by whatever university you'll probably think is biased. Joe Biden didn't switch out the FBI director Trump appointed, Christopher Wray. For all intents, these are Trump's numbers: arson, larceny, and robbery, and then compare those to burglary, impersonations, and shoplifting. You can see that crimes went
Tesla bombings. That was a handful of events being amplified, you know, as the head of Tesla also owns one of the largest social networks. Wonder why
up
that
or down
was,
relative to the proximity they have to other people. Unrelated, did you know that the FBI tracks how many people get charged with treason?
But any reasonable person who just looks at the news can clearly see that every single time that there is anything violent, besides maybe January 6th and maybe one or two other times, the majority of mass violence and mass hysteria is done by Democrats.
Asman,
No, it's
intentionally or not,
not,
has
bro. Where are
completely
you
forgotten
getting this
the threats against
info?
school boards, the plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer, the Paul Pelosi hammer
Such
attack,
the
2020
it's
threats against
like the
election
complete
officials,
opposite of
and
what's happening.
QAnon. This is not a both sides issue. 2020 has been gradually elevated by the right-wing media as a period of extreme violence, and January 6th has been gradually minimized.
And they are justified, rationalized, and considered okay by so many liberals, and that's a huge problem. The difference between me and I think a lot of people like Kyle is that if I say something that I think is wrong, I will say, I think that was wrong, I shouldn't have said that. But the problem is that people like Kyle don't accept that.
Well, I guess we'll see.
This is the mindset of the people that are making videos about me, disagreeing with me, crying about me, etc.
Well, I'm definitely doing 2 of those things.
Maybe one day, once a week or so, I'll have to react to some videos and things like that that people make of me.
In the unlikely chance he actually does that for this video, I hope you can at least say I'm approaching this in good faith.
Jesus, bro, the damage is insane.
I love that little.
There's
little
been a
bit right
lot
there.
of people talking about me, and it's been great.
So Dr. K was talking about people that had, he's like trying to draw a distinction between people that have like legit like mental pathological illness versus people who just have logically come to a conclusion that their life isn't worth living. And people got mad about that. And I think the reason why is that 80 to 90% of all self-help on the internet is just self-indulgent to make people who are doing bad things think that it's not their fault that they're doing the bad things.
Can you give an example?
There are guys out there that have they're incels, right? And they think that, the reason why they can't get a girlfriend is because of hoflation.
So like hoes, women, is it women having higher standards?
It's just that simple.
Well, why would they want to date someone that they think's a hoe?
Well,
because everybody's
all
a hoe.
girls are hoes.
Oh, they're all hoes.
And so that goes back to my
okay.
that goes back to my point, right? And
Yep.
so it's like this person thinks that they can't get a girlfriend because of hoflation. No, you can't get a girlfriend because your life is a complete mess. Nobody wants to be around you. You don't have any guy friends either, except for other weirdos on the internet. People seek out different types of like people to tell them that, well, it's actually not your fault that you don't have a girlfriend. It's actually because of dating apps and these other things. They never get challenged to actually improve themselves on a personal level. They just get a fucking vicious cycle of learned helplessness. All they're doing
I like that word.
is just feeding, it's an actual like legit thing.
Yeah, it's good.
It's like a feeding frenzy on making themselves feel good for doing things that are bad, and then consuming media that reaffirms that the bad things they're doing aren't their fault and are in fact not the cause of the problems they have. I really, really like playing video games. I do. I love playing video games. That's what I've been doing forever, right?
Dude, I wish I was this packed. I'm a gamer, but I really wish I had this type of gamer rage. I do. Like, I'm a gamer, don't get me wrong, guys, but Asmon's a gamer, you know what I'm saying? Asmon's a capital G gamer. I wish I had that,
I don't know really, I don't know really what else besides that, because I just really like playing video games.
Mr. Beast built a theme park in Saudi Arabia because they probably gave him a ton of money.
Mr. Beast gets backlash for building wells in Africa, okay? There's so much irrational brain-dead hate for Mr. Beast that any sort of like legitimate criticism just goes away.
Most of the criticism is just that he uses the money he gives away to create content that undercuts the sense of generosity by commodifying it, even if the content itself is what allows him to provide the charity. Or Epstein-Clinton speculation.
This is why the media wanted Trump to win. Yeah, they wanted to have the first LGBT president. Exactly. Ozempic single-handedly killed the body positivity movement.
Oh my god, can we not talk
Bro,
about
what
fat people? I'd honestly rather talk about Israel at
clips
this.
is Asmon when he used to go outside versus now with him becoming a cave troll? Amen.
Point.
It was a psyop by fat women to make
A
their
psyop
body
by
types
fat women,
seen
eh?
as attractive in the public eye.
Believe it or not, women don't
Sounds
just
like
think
a
about how
fun
to be
time to
attractive to
me.
men all day. And in this case, it isn't about their relationship to men, it's about their relationship with the world and the way people, such as yourself, treat them with intense disdain despite the fact that there is no absolute correlation between someone being fat and them over-consuming food or not exercising enough.
Nobody wants to be body positive. Like, nobody wants to be 400 pounds. It's fat and disgusting. They wanted to eat they wanted to have their cake and eat it too. In this case, literally, right? Now they can just take Ozempic and lose weight, and they don't need to be body positive anymore because they're weight negative.
That fat women are completely in Asmongold's mind. Maybe that's his kink. Maybe he is a BBW fanboy.
They're trans fat? Yes, exactly. It takes hunger away, but also it also kickstarts many other symptoms in your body. Well, I don't know exactly how any of that stuff works, okay? Like, I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying that you should take Ozempic, okay?
Wait, Asmon's not a doctor?
You might not be directly saying it, but calling people who are fat ugly and disgusting, and then presenting a solution to that without a full understanding of its consequences, is basically the entire reason body positivity exists. Because for years, advertisements, especially for fashion, would present a standard of beauty that was unobtainable, and that would couple with the social expectations to create eating disorders.
None of these fat girls, if they could snap their fingers and be skinny, they would do it. Every single one of them would do it. But
see, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. Some people like that they're a little thicker. You know? Are you telling me? Okay, we're not going to finish that. But
some of them want to act like they wouldn't because they never have the opportunity to. But you see with Ozempic that they were all lying.
Muslims in Germany want their kids to be able to wear headscarves in school. Asmund sees religious exemptions to rules about headwear as unfair overreach by people who should do more to assimilate.
If you have a school where you can only wear hats, then I think wearing headscarves is okay. But if you're wearing a headscarf, you should also be able to wear a hat. There should never be a situation where a person's religion grants them extra privileges that other people do not have.
The obligation of assimilation
interesting. So what about Christians?
Comes with the understanding that doing so would create acceptance.
Just because you have a religious reason to wear something doesn't mean that the entire world has to accommodate it, right?
And since that even trade doesn't happen, I see no reason to not be accommodating.
Older female relatives would tell me when you get older, you get to be thin or you get to look younger.
Where it creates the least harm.
Amen.
And you're coming in there with something on your head, well, you're breaking the rule. I don't give a fuck about your religion. Nobody cares.
Okay, but you do, because the point of contention is conformity and assimilation.
If you don't like it, go the fuck back to where you came from and then go live over there.
There are always questions to be resolved when a group integrates into another, but drawing the line at they might get to wear something on their head when everyone else doesn't is insane, given, especially in Germany, this exemption isn't just for immigrants, it's for the people who live in the country as well, and it's not exclusive to Muslims.
That's why I'm 50-50 about how Chinese deal with Muslims. It's harsh, but it works. Well, it's not about dealing with Muslims. What the fuck does that have to do with Muslims?
Again, Asmund ignores racism from his chat. During this, Asmund is asked whether doctors should get religious exemptions for procedures they don't want to perform.
It's not tricky at all. You shouldn't be compelling a doctor to do anything that goes against their own morality. So whether that is an abortion, whether that is something else, obviously a doctor should not have to do an abortion. A doctor should not have to do Botox. A doctor should not have to do plastic surgery. It's common sense, right?
If the state creates an expectation of a minimum standard of care that would be provided by a medical service or practitioner, and that service or practitioner refuses to provide it, leading to harm, then they are the ones doing something wrong. It is on the practitioners to opt out of providing the overall services if they are against the individual ones, because that creates the potential for greater undue harm to patients than if they were obligated to do them all, especially when you can simply opt into a specialization that doesn't include what you're against. A neurologist doesn't have to do heart surgery, but if you're a heart surgeon who doesn't believe in using animal grafts despite their efficacy, then it's up to you to decide whether heart surgery is for you.
You don't want to go and look at a graph or like some, you don't want to look at a study. All of these studies, everything like that, if it goes against your common sense and rationality, it's probably bullshit. I never trust studies. I never trust experts. I don't trust anybody. The thing that I trust is what I think. Now, if I see...
That's always good. Never trust anybody, guys. That's a good message to put out to his his fan base.
Something that I disagree with, and there's like things that are written down and it's like, you know, a quantified thing. I look at the reason why it's different, but at the same time, I don't start from the position that I'm wrong. I start from the position that I think I'm right. I have based everything in my life off of that, and I think that I have come to
I start with the position that I think that I'm right. Oh my god, dude. How, like, egotistical are you?
good outcomes in my life. One thing that I've learned doing anything
Disgusting.
professionally is that the
Arrest
people
that
that are
man.
experts and veterans in certain industries, and I think almost all industries, are generally brain dead retards.
People in
Oh,
specialized
nice.
industries put the majority of their effort into that industry. That doesn't mean they're stupid, it just means that their other opinions are probably less informed. I'd trust Ben Carson to do brain surgery, but I would not trust him to be president.
You know, even doctors get shit wrong all the time.
Please trust your doctor. Thousands of people hurt
Yeah,
themselves
bro,
taking
please
ivermectin and
trust your
hydrochloroquine,
doctor.
and of the 1 million people who have died of COVID in the United States, it's estimated that over 300,000 who died would have lived if they got vaccinated.
And so you never, ever, ever do that. Always base things off of what you think.
And I don't want to talk to a scientist. Y'all motherfuckers lying and getting me pissed.
And if you can't do that, you need to figure out how to get your level of comprehension and your consciousness up to the point to where you can base things off of what you think.
Yeah, tell your parents you don't want to go to college with the experts. All you need are street smarts.
When would you listen to doctors? I don't know, like if I agreed with them? Yeah, if I agree with them, if I thought it made sense.
Once again, we get evidence that social media is frying.
ICP, Insane Clown Posse. Let me tell you, my ex used to love this one song that's all about like being in this girl's room at night. Very interesting. I remember that song from them, but that's about it. I guess I'm uncultured.
Asmongold's brain.
Oh, God! No!
It's just a word.
No!
The Jews clearly control the media and the banks.
Oh, wow.
Investment banks.
This is my Instagram? I don't know. You guys want to hear what mine
That's not good.
sounds like? Let's find out.
Hi, my fellow Labradors. It would be racist to not let the pit bulls in to join us.
That was the first scroll. That was a dog with a Jewish yarmulke on his head. Okay, so it took one.
Representative Stacey Plaskett was discovered to have been texting with Jeffrey Epstein during a 2019 congressional hearing with Michael Cohen over his relationship with Donald Trump. Wildly stupid and unforced error, to put it mildly.
But somehow, when you're texting in class, oh, that's bad. What the fuck? This really doesn't help
you
the
in high
idea
school, Aswin?
that
Who cares
there
if
are
someone's
people
texting
controlling
in
the
class?
government, and it's on both sides. On a certain level, it kind of makes sense. If you were looking for somebody to
Both
have in
sides.
your corner that knows this stuff, it would be Jeffrey Epstein, right?
I was almost going to agree with Asmund before he said there's a secret group controlling the American government.
The left media has TDS, so they won't report on it and focus on it? I guess so, because they want to make it look like
TDS.
Jeffrey Epstein was a
TDS.
Republican thing.
Epstein was best friends with the current Republican president, who has worked very hard for most of the year to keep the Epstein files hidden, while every Democrat and every Republican except one voted to release the Epstein files. Asmongold asks and answers the age-old question, what is a woman?
This is a real response to what is a woman.
Asmund misunderstands the analogy
Finally.
of color being something that you cannot literally describe except as a psychological response, and decides to take that as a challenge.
Colorblindness is a disorder. So if you look at blue and you think that it's not blue, you have a disorder.
What?
If you apply that same logic and argumentation to gender.
Cool, being trans is a mental disorder. Even in those terms, the most effective treatment is still tolerance and acceptance. Also, in terms of that analogy, we provide services and systems that allow colorblind people to function in society on their terms, instead of forcing them to adapt to colors they can't see. We don't obligate social norms to what the average capacity of a person is. We create the means for everyone to participate, because that has always made things better for everyone.
I don't need to watch a YouTube video to figure out that there's two genders, okay? This is what I was talking about before, about like, oh, but there's a study that says this. No, I don't want to hear the study.
Unless someone of a particular sex presenting as another is such a severe transgression that rates of self-harm and suicidality are acceptable to you, pronouns in bio aren't that bad.
If you look at blue and you see another color, you have a disorder called colorblindness. If you look at a male and you see a female and you say that person has a disorder, now you're a right-wing Nazi.
Nobody is making the argument that trans people are literally changing their DNA and bone structure when they transition, and they aren't asking other people to lie when addressing them by preferred pronouns, any more than someone who got married is asking someone to lie when their last name changes.
How does that happen?
But hey, if you want to be an equal opportunity hater, here's another chance to get angry at a woman who went viral for claiming sexual assault.
Women get massively treated way better by the justice system than men do. It's not even remotely close. You want to talk about a privilege? That's a privilege.
Women are under greater risk of sexual assault and mistreatment in prison, as well as having more trouble receiving necessities for things like menstruation.
So this is a bureaucratic, bad faith Karen in action, weaponizing systems and different types of bureaucracy. This is how a Karen insulates itself inside of modern society.
Dude,
everybody
really
talks
does
about like
hate
the
women.
Andrew Tate
I'm
toxic male
convinced of it
communities.
now.
This is the female equivalent to that, by the way. It's a bunch of dishonest, disingenuous, obnoxious, stupid women that get together, that hate men, that are liars,
why do you hate
that try
women
to
so
manipulate
much?
situations, emotionally blackmail
hurt
everybody,
you?
and put themselves in the position where they get to tell everybody else what to do.
No, this is someone on TikTok. They are not indicative of a broader trend or ideology. They are just a video that's gone viral for being rage bait that gets picked up by people looking for an excuse to be mad at women because social media algorithms seek engagement, which is honestly the most appropriate word for it because Asman is married to this belief.
You want to talk about toxic male behavior, that's fine. I think there is some of that. This is toxic female behavior.
Okay, but you aren't talking about toxic male behavior. You're only talking about women.
And now we have the Karens going to jail. Oh my God! I am so happy. Wow.
The issue
I
isn't that
love when
women can't
people
be
go to
bad.
jail.
It's that your audience doesn't make any distinction between the women who are Karens and the women who aren't. It's Karen until proven otherwise.
I love how she thinks that she matters. You're a DoorDash driver. If you died tomorrow, they wouldn't even do it. They wouldn't even know about it.
I could give
Dude,
you the
Asman is
statistics that
such
show
a
what the actual
cretin,
success
bro.
rate of
What
false
the hell?
accusations of sexual assault are. But why should I try to counter an anecdotal claim
Guy sees a random person on TikTok. See, this is what's wrong with
like that?
society,
Show me
right
in numbers
here.
how there are so many Karens Karening all over that it would justify labeling them as an
Exactly.
enemy of America.
This is the enemy of America right here. It's not the Jews.
Bro, it's the enemy of America. There she is. Oh, I didn't know. Are you allowed to show her image? I don't know if they're allowed to do that. That's the enemy of America. Do you realize what you're doing?
It's not the black
Asman?
people. It's not the
Get
Middle
her.
East. It's not even all the Muslims. Optics obsessed.
Oh my, listen, it's not even all the Muslims, guys.
Virtue signaling, obnoxious, privileged Karens that will import every
like
problem
Maduro.
from the rest of the world into America.
Maduro
And
was
they will also manipulate,
basically,
lie.
Karen.
That is the prime evil in America.
Oh.
Not Jews. A lot of people want it to be Jews.
was really
but I
brave
think
for
this is the
that.
real problem. Do you hate women? No, but I hate women like her.
Oh, well, that certainly undoes saying that Karens are enemies of America. Hopefully you
Do
don't
you
go
hate
into an
women?
explanation
No,
of why the
I
Mexican
do hate
protests you
women,
support
though.
all right because there's no
I do
time
hate
to not
this
be
woman,
anti-Semitic
though.
while the government is corrupt.
And what if she is Jewish? Ooh, uh-oh. Puta Judea. I don't think that I need a translator for that one, okay, guys? I think I know exactly what that one means.
We've reached the final level of the horseshoe as Asmongold excuses anti-Semitism because the people doing it don't have time to not be anti-Semitic.
People care about race. You might not like that. I might not like that, but it's true. And also, by the way, oh
I
my
don't think
God,
it is, to be
the whole
quite frank.
protest is anti-Semitic. Well, actually, okay, to be fair, I caught this. Guys, I think I know who's been watching all those Instagram reels.
Unironically, you have just figured out the problem I'm pointing to.
People don't give a shit about these like weird tone policing rules whenever they don't have any fucking food and they can't live in a way that has any degree of dignity. And many of the revolutionists are furious that a woman who is not a Catholic sorry, these things matter to people. You might not like that reality, but you still got to live in it. They're a bitch, dude.
Sorry.
Of course it's relevant. Yeah, of course it does. Representation matters, right? Yeah, of course. Do you think people are going to call them anti-Semitic in the U.S.? They already are.
It's just horseshoes all the way down. And you guessed it, more women on the internet are bad.
Ronaldo doesn't understand this, maybe, but there's a bunch of fat, ugly, disgusting middle-aged women that are on social media. They want you to replace your audience of other young guys that like abrasive, edgy, funny, just general male humor.
We get it.
This is like the Hassan argument that in the Middle East is homophobic because they material conditioning caused by imperialism, except America and libs. Very
you don't
true.
like it when mom tells you to go to bed.
These are the women that are in the PTA. They're in the fucking, they're in the HR department. They're the ones in the PR department. They're the ones complaining to your boss.
I get it that you were a little creepy with, no, I won't go there.
They're the ones in the in the bureaucracy. This is what they do. They're the fucking school moms.
Oh my God, he admitted it.
Imagine me going on Twitter and some retarded hog says on social
Women
media,
have all the power.
"Oh, you shouldn't
Amen.
say this." Shut the
Let's
fuck up, bitch. You're gonna
and,
tell me what I can and can't say.
Worship our new
Who
queens.
the fuck are you? And it's also, I don't want to make people think it's all women doing this. Like, this isn't like a men versus women thing.
He says before.
What's happiness of a Karen? The happiness of a Karen is the same principle as of a vampire. And did this stupid bitch block me? I'll stop taking part in toxic politics whenever left-wing people stop calling you a Nazi or a Hitler or a fascist whenever you want to enforce immigration law.
Once again, the topic of misleading data about left-wing versus right-wing violence comes up, and a chatter actually calls Asman out when he says he doesn't trust the government.
Riding hard for the government? What the fuck does that even mean?
It means that you're okay with blowing up Venezuelan boats without evidence, deporting people without evidence, cutting government programs that have showcased decades of benefits in international diplomacy and trade, and every other thing done by Donald Trump while declaring that he is completely innocent of any wrongdoing despite being the closest person to Jeffrey Epstein amongst every person connected to him.
I think you choose what to trust. I do.
It's gonna be hands-made tale for men now. I know. They're gonna force transition all of us too. That's what I heard. I'm not gonna verify if it's true, but I heard they were gonna force trans us. So get excited for that, gamers.
Absolutely, I choose what to trust. You should try it sometime. It would help you.
Help has a very loose definition here. Hassan in China.
The problem with what Hassan is saying is that I very strongly agree with most of it, but I don't agree with part of it.
Once again, I am shocked that Asman can accurately explain a concept. Not because I think he's dumb, but because you'd think it creates some cognitive dissonance.
I think he's right that the best antidote to xenophobia is experience. A lot of us have probably had that happen ourselves, where you met somebody from a country that you had a predisposition towards, like positive or negative, and that person changed your predisposition by talking with them. But at the same time, the actions of a government do not represent the will of its people necessarily, especially in countries like China, Russia, or apparently Mexico, right?
But then he's back to Eighth Amendment violations.
Meet a Somalian.
Can we just do lashings instead? No, I don't want to. I mean, okay, I think that there's a place for creative kinetic punishment.
Is there?
Recruit trainee John Rico is sentenced to administrative punishment. 10 lashes.
You've got to really save that. That way it has a lot of, it has emphasis when it happens.
And while looking at a propaganda video of China's surveillance technology, Asman mentions his perspective on police clearance rates and how the world combats terrorism.
I'm not sure about that. The murder solve rate's only 70%. If we had the surveillance in our home country, I feel like it'd be higher. No, it's not.
Kinetic punishment.
Do you want to know why they don't solve a lot
real.
of cases? It's because they don't care.
Solving murders is actually really hard, and the reason you see people who commit heinous crimes getting caught isn't because Clarice spoke to Hannibal. It's because the people who do those crimes are usually really stupid. CSI technology looks so advanced because of how intensive it needs to be to scrape information out of a crime scene, which is indicative of the difficulty.
Don't forget when they blew up all those blew up all the pagers and wiped out a terrorist organization in one day. They could stop all those terrorists. They choose not to. I also think that there is a degree of that that's true.
The pager attack, while impressive as an operation, did not wipe out Hezbollah. Israel is still bombing Lebanon because of Hezbollah activity.
I mean,
Yeah,
I think
no,
this
we
is
have a term
badass. I'm
corporal
going to be
punishment
honest. This
for
is
a
crazy.
reason, but
And like,
for
we need to
these
have this for
guys-
some people that do things here too. Like, I'm not saying I want a surveillance state,
Corporal
but
punishment
everything
is
you've said you wanted the
based.
government to do requires a
The
surveillance
government
state.
committing
I don't know if it's just where I live or
carrying
not.
out punishment, dude. That's
But
based.
ever
What are you
since
talking
that
about?
whole Epstein thing started getting popular,
That Epstein thing.
I've been seeing like way more lizards.
And then we go back to Mexico for a Fox News
Thanks
interview with these
for
two
that,
right-wing nut
Asmund.
jobs who do a podcast. And before you think I'm calling them right-wing nut jobs as a dismissive insult,
Concretamente estamos en guerra contra una familia que en la declaración de
We're at
Balfour es
war
la que
with the
fundó el Estado de Israel, que
family,
podemos
yeah,
hablar de eso,
Balfour
que es la familia
Declaration.
Rothschild, ¿vale? Y esa familia concretamente
I heard the
nunca ha sido aumentado su
Rothschilds.
patrimonio. Entonces, Elon Musk tiene más ni de coña. O sea, ni de coña. Elon Musk no es la persona más rica del planeta ni la más poderosa, te lo puedo garantizar. Hay familias que tienen muchísimo más patrimonio, pero como no sabemos verdaderamente qué es lo que tienen y qué es lo que dejan de tener, porque han diversificado en esta estructura bursátil todo su poder y todo su monopolio, que lo tienen, ¿por qué más? O sea, llega un punto en el que ni en 25 millones de generaciones se pueden gastar lo que han amasado. Entonces yo digo, es que no puede ser solo el dinero, aquí tiene que haber algo más metafísico, tiene que haber algo más espiritual, tiene que haber algo mucho más profundo. Y ahí es donde entra el tema de vamos a juzgar qué es lo que ellos atacan siempre. Pues siempre atacan la moral católica, la moral cristiana.
Y oye, Jota, dos puntos ahí muy interesantes. La parte del capitalismo, que tienes opiniones muy diferentes a lo que la gente común piensa acerca de, pero esta parte de Jesús, de Cristo, de los católicos, de esta guerra en contra del catolicismo. ¿Por qué crees que hay tanto odio en contra de Jesús? En contra del verdadero Dios.
Porque es lo que daría mayor poder a las personas para no ser controladas.
did Fox even check what these guys talk about on their podcast?
I'm sure there's like a degree of partisan politics that's attached to everything, but this is primarily a identity revolt rather than a political revolt, which is insane.
New war
Once again,
against
Asman misunderstands the
Catholicism now.
capabilities of the
I
U.S.
know.
military.
If you put
It's all coming
experienced
out,
Navy
ladies and
SEALs
gentlemen.
and generals that actually want to end this war,
There are so many new wars. It's
how long
crazy.
do you think it would take them to totally figure out, map out, and completely eliminate every single one of those people? I would say less than 6 months.
This is the exact same line of thinking that got the U.S. stuck in Iraq for over a decade.
It's at 2 weeks. Yeah. I mean, come on, guys. What are we talking about?
And then Asman says he'd support regime-changing Mexico if
But
their
remember,
police started
no
shooting
new
protesters.
Basically, regime changed their government. Which, I mean, by the way, I would support that. I would
Oh, thank
completely
you.
support that. There's
had
no
no
way
doubt.
that we should have a country that is a bordering country of ours that is a PvP server.
I can only speculate, but I think this belief is downstream of thinking that Venezuelan boats are okay to blow up as well.
What's the goal when they get through? You don't want to know. What do you think? What do you think happens? What do you think happens when they get through and they get to all the people in the government? 1, 2, 3. I know that one. This is something I didn't talk about yesterday, is that the media is part of the Uniparty.
Yeah, PvP.
And the Uniparty is the one thing that they are more afraid of than anything else is for identity politics to die. And a protest like this is a protest that transcends
They're
identity
fighting
politics.
against the
I think the BBC
identity
is a totally
politics?
biased, completely partisan network. You shouldn't trust anything that they say. They're total bullshit, and they're all liars.
Because Trump said,
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
in a speech that
See,
also
look, he
included...
said peacefully. He said peacefully,
Let's have
guys.
trial by combat. We will
Oh.
never give up. We will never concede. Because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong. We will not take it anymore. And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell,
America's
you're not
mayor,
going to have
baby.
a country anymore.
And the result was a group of people assaulting cops to force their way
Fight
into a
like
building,
heck.
and based on your reaction to the rioting in Mexico,
They're January 6ing. I'm proud of them. They're January 6ing. What's the goal when they get through? What do you think happens when they get through and they get to all the people in the government?
You know what they wanted to do in there. Esmond's getting upset that they didn't include his one mention of being peaceful, not because they're biased, but because they didn't provide an excuse to exonerate him.
And like, again, like, I mean, why would you edit Trump's speech in that way? Well, it's because you're biased.
He talks about the Epstein files some more. It's nothing we haven't heard already.
Yeah,
so
he's
simple.
mentioned, but that doesn't mean
Just
that he
because
did
you're
anything
biased,
wrong.
duh.
If it's a hoax, then just release it and show everybody that it's bullshit. Like, I don't even understand the logic here.
And while Marjorie Taylor Greene tries to pivot towards not being a Jewish space laser nut job, Asmund sees her as capitulating to the media and creating a permission structure for people to move away from the right. His phrasing is a little word salady. Maybe you get something
every time
different.
there's a protest that Republicans don't like, people should say they're doing January 6th. They should.
This is what mainstream media does, is they try to manufacture consensus by having a degree of like kind of they create an ecosystem
ladies and gentlemen,
that allows them to manufacture consensus about
manufactured consent.
And I think this is a good example of them doing that.
But the point is that he doesn't think the left will accept her because she used to be in the back for Trump.
It doesn't matter how many apologies that you do. It doesn't matter anything. You will always be the Trump person. Like the boats are burned. The bridge is burned. It's never going to happen. Like the problem is these people are like defined by purity testing. That you're not going to apologize to them and then have them vote for you.
It's not purity testing to say that someone who rode the wave of QAnon to get elected to Congress and harass school shooters needs to do more to show that they've had a change of heart. Not every judgment is based solely on in-group, out-group.
Trying to apologize and capitulate to Democrats or leftists will never work.
Well,
it will
thank
never
you.
work, and it will only make people
Losers all on all sides citing Chomsky. Amen. He was a
more
pedo.
frustrated with you.
To be clear, this messaging is what makes it so hard to reach people. The idea that you won't be accepted, so you might as well entrench yourself on one side regardless of what actually happens. If you agree with a lot of what someone like Kyle Kulinski wants for the country, then you aren't capitulating because the plans being put in place are still intended to go in the same direction you want, and your input will be appreciated. Being conservative isn't, in itself, a bad thing. Obviously, a lot of people on the far left on the internet have a maximalist view of things and say that you're immoral if you don't want to spend all of the money on all of the things, but they're taking hypotheticals too literally. We need people with reasonable expectations of budgetary, economic, and even social changes so that we can take time and use experimentation to get things right. But culture war nonsense has infected every debate and dialogue such that every possible point of negotiation becomes a hill to die on, and that has allowed more and more extreme people to get away with worse and worse things. If I told Asmongold 5 years ago that Trump was using the military to kill people in the middle of the ocean on the premise of them being terrorists without proper evidence, he would say that's bad. But now, if he doesn't defend that, then the rest of the defenses collapse. You can think that people knowingly trafficking drugs like fentanyl into the United States deserve to die on the spot, but you should be able to recognize that allowing the state to actually do that is an opening for much worse abuses of power. And when those abuses happen and they're defended, the abuses can once again get worse. At some point, you have to say that even though I'm not against what's happening, I don't want something worse to happen in its place.
I think that in 2026, if
All right, folks. I'm getting towards the end of my stream. I gotta get ready for work and all that, and all that fun stuff. So I'm probably gonna start shutting the stream down right about now. I know. We all want a longer stream. That's why it's so important that you like and subscribe the video, because if you do, that'll get me closer to my goal of 500. And at that point, I can start making a little cheddar off of this with super chats and all that. So remember to like and subscribe. I have a good one. Have a good one and listen to Miracle by ICP while you get ready. All right, I will, and I'll let you know. I'll report back tomorrow how my findings went. Anyways, let me get my stream ready to go, ready to end here. All right, here we go. But again, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more videos like this, I do a stream every day from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. where I talk about news, politics, and engage in a little bit of gaming. So if that sounds interesting to you, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.